Hi everyone, it's Dove again. So I'm back out here in the garage, my messy garage. I wish I had a green screen for you so you guys didn't have to see all the background and everything. I wish I had better lighting, but we're going with this right now. I've been meaning to make this video for several months, since last year, and I guess now is a good time to do it. And I'm going to be talking about my experiences with TBI, and TBI is traumatic brain injury, and it happens when you get hit on your head, obviously, and most of the time it's like sports injuries, football players, stuff like that. They're always getting hit in the head and they're getting these head injuries and they have resulting TBI afterwards, and it can be mild, moderate, or severe. And any kind of head injury, like car accidents, domestic violence, just falling off of playground equipment when you're a kid, you can actually get a TBI from hitting your head. And so I've had quite a few head injuries in the last 20 years. I'm looking at my notes here, so sorry if I have to look away, but the most severe of them have been in the past 3.5 years, and I've had 3 major head injuries in the past 3.5 years, and I've had to deal with a lot of TBI symptoms. They were mild to moderate. Thankfully, they were not severe. I'm very grateful for that. And so in late November of 2018, I hit my forehead very, very, very hard. Like I was in full motion. I had left a cabinet door open, so instead of being closed like this, it was open. And the leading edge of it, I came around, it was right next to my refrigerator. My refrigerator's right here, and this open cabinet door was right here. And I came around, and I had my trash can underneath that cabinet, and I was going to throw something away. And I was going at a very fast pace, and I didn't realize the door was open, and I went to throw that piece of trash away or whatever in the trash can underneath it, and I hit that cabinet full on, just full on, and it left a great big goose egg on my head, and I had a lot of headaches and stuff after that. But not until January of 2019, so about 2 months later, a month and a half, 2 months later, I started having these weird symptoms. And what was happening was nobody was hitting me, but I kept feeling blows to the back of my head. Like it felt like somebody was coming up to me and just slamming me on the back of my head, in it. So energetically I could feel this happening, and I would just literally lurch forward when I would feel this. It was just like somebody was hitting me on the back of the head, but obviously nobody was doing that. And that went on and on. And then, sorry, again, I'm looking at my notes. So that was probably the middle of January 2019, maybe late January. And then in mid-February, I started having eye twitching, and it was this eye, and it was just totally uncontrollable twitching. And it wasn't all the time, but when it came, it was horrible. Like my eye just kept twitching and twitching and twitching, and there was nothing I could do about it. And that's when I realized that that blow to my head had caused injury. And I had had blows to my head from 2005 to 2008 because of my IPL incident. I was having mini strokes and I was blacking out, and I hit my head a few times, but I don't think it was anything really severe because it wasn't really causing a lot of symptoms. I was having so many other symptoms that maybe they just blended in. I'm not sure. But it wasn't until this head injury in 2018 that I really had an issue that I had to deal with. And by mid-February, when I was getting the eye twitching, I was really starting to get worried. I had headaches a lot. My speech was slurred. My eye was twitching. I was having those blows to the back of my head. And I had already been studying natural medicine for quite a while. And I had already been taking things like therapeutic enzymes, and I had done tons and tons of research on like alternative natural medicines because I haven't had a doctor since 2006. And so I became my own doctor. And so I already knew about therapeutic enzymes and the benefit to that. I had already been taking some for other reasons. And so on March 2nd of 2019, I started taking a therapeutic enzyme called serrapeptase. And it's a special enzyme. It's a very special therapeutic enzyme. And it's right up there with like nattokinase. And there are differences between nattokinase and serrapeptase, and I'm going to put links in the description for the video. I'm going to put links down there so you guys can research this yourself. Oh, and by the way, I'm not giving medical advice. This is not medical advice. This is me and what I did and what I had to deal with and how I dealt with it. I am not advising anybody to do anything. I'm just telling you what I did and what I've experienced myself personally. So that's my medical disclaimer. And so on March 2nd, about 2 weeks after the eye twitching started, I started taking serrapeptase. And serrapeptase is a therapeutic enzyme that is meant to dissolve scar tissue. And scar tissue is what TBI is. When you have TBI, when you have traumatic brain injury, it's caused by the scar tissue that forms after the head injury. Just in layman's terms, just putting it in the most simple terms that I can find, when you have a head injury, it will start healing on its own, but many times during the healing process it forms scar tissue. And I will put links to scientific studies from NIH and all these kind of places that there are several studies that show that TBI is caused by the formation of scar tissue. And so in my brain, knowing everything that I knew, I was like, wait a minute, they make an enzyme for scar tissue. And so I started taking the serrapeptase on March 2nd, and within 2 weeks, those two major symptoms that I was telling you about, the blows to the back of my head and the twitching in my eye, within 2 weeks, all of that had stopped. And with therapeutic enzymes, you have to take them on an empty stomach. So I would just, in between meals, when I was, an hour away from food either way, I would take 2 of these. And this is the brand I was taking. Hopefully that'll focus. That's Enzymedica Serragold. There are other brands of serrapeptase enzymes, but I've been taking Enzymedica for years and I trust them. They're non-GMO verified and they're a very good brand, and I've taken all sorts of different enzymes from them, so I do trust them very much. And so I started taking the Serragold, just 2 capsules a day. I could have taken more than that, but I just did 2 a day, and within 2 weeks those symptoms had subsided. And because I had so many brain injuries, so many head injuries in the years previous, and I also had some scar tissue on my ovaries many years ago, and that the doctors had gone in to do the surgery because they thought there was something wrong, and it ended up just being scar tissue, and my ovary was attached to the uterine wall. So I knew I had previous scar tissue that had to be taken care of. So even though within 2 weeks those symptoms were gone, I kept taking these enzymes for a year and a half. I could have stopped taking them within 6 months for sure, but I had years and years of injury to my body, and so I just wanted to take care of all of the old scar tissue and the new scar tissue. And so that's what I did. I took these for a year and a half, and it completely ate away at that scar tissue that had formed while my head was healing. While my brain was healing, the scars that it left inside my brain, it was eating away at that scar tissue. And nattokinase is the other one I mentioned. It actually breaks down blood clots. Like, blood clots a lot of times are just fibrin, Fibrin, and nattokinase has the ability to break down those blood clots. So that's good. That's good to know. Both of these are very important therapeutic enzymes, and I'll leave a link in the description for an article going all over the differences between those two enzymes. And while this did take care of those immediate problems, I did still find myself having a little bit of fuzzy, just fuzzy brain action and focus problems and stuff like that. And I've been researching and using these things for many, many years, and one of the natural medicines that I've been using for a long time have been medicinal mushrooms. And there are many different types of medicinal mushrooms, and there's actually one that's really good for memory and brain, anything to do with the brain, and that is called lion's mane. Hopefully you can see that. This is a tincture from Host Defense mushrooms, and I've used Host Defense for a long time, and many times they'll tincture a mushroom into alcohol because that's the best way to get all of the medicinal constituents out of a mushroom, is sometimes to take it out with alcohol. And so this is an alcohol tincture, and so I also take this, and it's just a dropper, just like that. And you can put that in juice or whatever, but I don't drink a lot of juice, and so what I do is I fill up a couple of these capsules. This is one of the biggest sizes you can get. This is 00. And so I open these capsules and I fill 2 of them, and I would just take 2 of those a day. And that helped a lot with the focus and the memory and all the other residual problems I was having with the TBI. The lion's mane really helped a lot. And then the other thing that I took just sporadically is virgin coconut oil, totally unrefined. And there have been a lot of people who have had good success taking coconut oil for like Alzheimer's and stuff, because this has all the good fats in it, and it has the good fats that your brain needs. And so I would just put this, like a big spoonful, in oatmeal or something like that, and that served me well for that. And then recently, so last year I had another brain injury. My son and I got in a fight, and he tackled me, and I had a brain injury on the back of my head, and it was a bleeding brain injury. And probably 2 weeks after I had that injury, I started to feel funny again. So right away I started back on the serrapeptase enzymes, and I took those for probably 2 or 3 months, and I stopped feeling any kind of weirdness and symptoms after that. So I swear by these. I mean, again, this is not medical advice. This is just me telling you what I have experienced and what helped me. And I don't think I would be alive without serrapeptase at this point. Or, if I was alive, I could maybe be in a coma, because these head injuries can be very, very bad. And without any kind of intervention, they can be pretty bad. And so I'm just very grateful that I had the knowledge of these enzymes, and that I had the money. It wasn't my money, it was my ex's money, but whatever. And so that's how I have cleared my TBI. And just recently, in my last video, I had another severe head injury, and I hit right there, and that was my last video. And I'm sorry to alarm you guys, but I was kind of worried myself, and I didn't have any other way to let you guys know. If something would have happened, I wouldn't have had any kind of way to let you know why I would have, you know, fallen off the face of YouTube. And so that's why I made that video. And I'm sorry if I worried anybody. I'm okay. Everything's okay. Everything's healed up. There's a bump right there, but I can touch it now. I can sleep on this side of my head now. I can touch my head now. It still hurts when I touch it, but now I can at least touch it. And I knew from these past experiences with hitting my head that I was going to have scar tissue formation. I just knew, because this was actually one of the worst ones out of the 3 that I've had. And so I'm proactively taking the serrapeptase. I think I started like a day or 2 after that head injury, because I don't even want the scar tissue to even start forming. And so I'm on the serrapeptase. I'll probably take these for at least, I don't know, probably 6 months. Probably 6 months, because I'm just not going to take any chances. There are a lot of people with TBI have, you know, they have to have surgery and everything else. There's just regular allopathic medicine doesn't really have a cure for TBI at this point. And it's a shame, because they could just, you know, if they would just reach out to other forms of medicine, they could probably heal a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are suffering from TBI, because it's quite common to have a TBI. And so this is what I'm doing, and it's working for me. So I hope you guys learned something. Again, not medical advice, but if you wanted to learn something, I hope this was helpful for you. And I hope you're all doing well. Love you guys. Bye.